If you see a student shut down, chances are it's not because they're lazy, they're unmotivated, they don't care. Usually they shut down because they've started to believe that trying is not going to make a difference. When a student believes that their effort won't help, every hard assignment feels way too heavy, every mistake feels personal, every low grade feels just like proof that they can't do it, every challenging subject starts to feel like evidence that they are just not good at this. One small word can begin to shift the way students see those feelings. And that word is yet. I can't do this becomes I can't do this yet. That one word matters because students do not build confidence by avoiding hard things. Students build confidence by learning how to move through the hard things. And they're able to move through the hard things when we give them the right kind of support. Today, we're talking about the power of yet, why struggle can actually help students grow, and how parents can support their students through the productive struggle without letting kids feel defeated. If this topic connects with you, if a student that you love has a tendency to say things like, I'm just not good at math, I can't spell, things like that, I want you to subscribe to this channel because this is the first in a series of videos that I'm going to be doing this summer that deal with the concept of self-belief, which is really just about having the mindset to believe that you can grow and improve. Skills, which are the methods that learners use to learn, remember, study, take tests, and strategy, which are the management systems that students use to organize, to plan, to manage their time. These are the things that I'm going to be talking about this summer. My name is Kylie Larson. I own a tutoring company called 4011 Learning, and I help students and families build their confidence and independence through practical strategies that work in school and in life. So again, this summer, we're going to be walking through what I call the 3S student success system. Again, that's self-belief, skills, and strategy. Self-belief comes first intentionally because before students can use their skills or follow better strategies, they have to believe that growth is possible. Think about it. When you don't think that you are good at something, then what is the point in putting forth your best effort? Why would you try as hard as you can on those practice questions? Why would you do the extra assignment if it wasn't going to matter? Why would you take your time to plan out the paper if you're just not good at writing and you're never going to be good at writing? That's why we have to change that mindset. We have to show students that having a growth mindset, believing that you can learn and grow, it's not about fake confidence. It doesn't mean that things are going to be easy, but it means that students need to know that if they have support, they put forth the effort and the practice, they get the right strategy in place, yes, they will improve and grow. You might be seeing this with your own child right now. They are capable, but they freeze when the work gets hard. They are smart, but they definitely avoid certain subjects. For me, it was math. It's still math. They may say things like, I'm just bad at this, or I don't care. But deep down, it might just be that they feel embarrassed, they're overwhelmed, or they're really just unsure what to do next. So those shutdowns have to be looked through the lens of self-belief. Struggle does not always mean what we think it means. Parents and adults are often going to see struggle and they're going to jump to one of two conclusions. Something is wrong, or they just need to try harder. They're having a bad attitude. Neither of these is usually accurate. A student who is struggling very well might be just missing a foundational skill. They just don't know how to start. They are afraid of failing. They're overwhelmed. They may be comparing themselves to classmates who seem to get it much faster than they do. They may be just using the wrong strategy altogether, but they don't know how. Or again, they've just decided, I'm not good at this. What does it matter? And that is why it's very confusing for parents, because from the outside, it looks like an attitude. It looks like laziness. It looks like lack of motivation. But when you dig deeper, I think what you're usually seeing is a student who has hit a wall. They don't have any confidence and they don't know how to move through that struggle. And this is true for students no matter what their ability or achievement level is. Capable students can still need support. Smart students still feel overwhelmed. And hardworking students can still use a better strategy that will make things easier on them. Instead of asking why our kids don't just try harder and work harder and do more, we want to ask, why is this seeming so hard for them? Struggle doesn't always mean they're not trying. Many times it means they just don't know what to do next. The goal is not to keep them from having a struggle. The goal is to support them through the struggle. And I want to be clear, not all struggle is helpful. Hear me out here. This is important because I don't want you to just think I'm saying we need to just let kids suffer in order to grow and improve. That is not what I'm saying at all. It's not what we're talking about. There is something called the productive struggle. It means that a student is challenged, but they're not abandoned. Productive struggle usually includes a clear goal, support that is accessible and nearby, a task that is hard, but it is possible, room and space to make mistakes. It includes feedback, and it includes direction or a next step given to them. A defeating struggle is completely different from that. A defeating struggle happens when the task feels too hard, it's too unclear, it brings up a lot of emotions, and the student just feels completely unsupported or abandoned. That kind of struggle is what leads to shutdown, avoidance, tears, anger, procrastination, negative self-talk, and I'm just not smart enough. I'm just not good at this. And I have just seen plenty of students, my own children included, get to that place in learning. So the goal for us is not to remove every hard thing from them. The goal for us is to help them learn how to approach hard things with a different mindset. If your child does shut down every time work gets hard, the answer is not more pressure. But it's also not removing the challenge for them. The better question to think about is what kind of support or what level of support would make this challenge feel possible for them. For instance, if you have a student that struggles with reading comprehension, is it possible to read with them or read to them while they follow along, and then they answer the questions? If you have a student that is working on math homework, is it really necessary for them to have to calculate all their multiplication tables if they don't know them yet for that homework assignment? Or can we just give them the multiplication table and let them breathe a little sigh of relief so they can practice all the steps in the math problem correctly without that cognitive overload of having to figure everything out? Struggle definitely helps students grow when it is supported, and it hurts their confidence when they feel alone. If you know a student who shuts down when work gets hard, we need to change how we respond. This is especially important for parents of students who usually do well. Many high achieving students, they're used to success. They are used to making good grades. They are used to being praised for being so smart. They are used to things coming more easily for them than most of the other students around them. And that sounds great, right? Is that not just a wonderful situation? Well, actually, it can have a pretty negative impact on them. There's a hidden problem there because those students who generally are very successful, high achieving students, when they start to experience struggle, they have never built those emotional muscles to handle challenge, to handle mistakes, and to deal with failure. One thing that happens when students are constantly praised more for their intelligence than for their effort and their hard work, then they begin to be really afraid of failure. So it's just something to think about that even our capable students, they need to experience like working through these productive struggles. Because if school does finally start to get hard from them, they're not going to realize, hey, this is a normal part of learning. This is just a part of the process. They might start thinking something is wrong with them, or they are just going to start avoiding things because they're just not used to that feeling at all. When their identity is so attached to their achievement, struggle begins to feel really unsafe. And this is hard for parents to recognize because the struggle doesn't show up like in a failing grade at first. It usually shows up as perfectionism turning into big time stress, or procrastination morphing into complete avoidance, or a student who only wants to do things they already know they can do well. High achieving students do not just need to be praised for outcomes. They need to practice with challenge. They need to be pushed to the point of making mistakes. They need to get feedback and constructive criticism. They need to be given a chance to improve their work. High achieving students, they need that productive struggle too, because success without struggle creates that fear of failure later. So I want to take this into a discussion of what is called a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset sounds like this: I'm just not good at math. I am never going to get this. Everyone else is smarter. If I make a mistake, I failed. And I want to compare that to what is called a growth mindset. A growth mindset sounds like I'm still learning this. This is hard right now, but it won't always be. I may just need to try a different strategy, and I can get better with more practice. Growth mindset, again, does not mean we're pretending everything is easy. It does not mean we're telling students, just believe in yourself. You can do it. Growth mindset means we're helping students see struggle as a part of learning instead of proof that they're not capable. If a student says, I'm bad at this, they might not be actually describing the skill. They're describing the story they believe about themselves. We don't want a fixed mindset to turn struggle into a student's identity. We want growth mindset to turn struggle just into information. So again, this can go back to that 3-letter word, yet. It's so important because I'm just not good at math closes the door on me ever being good at math in any situation. And when we hear students saying things like, I'm just not good at math, I can't do this, We want to try to reframe that for them into things like, I am not where I want to be yet in math. I don't understand fractions yet. I just haven't learned the right strategy. We want them to go from I can't do this to I am on the road to doing this. I'm on the path to doing this. And we don't get them there by just telling them, yes, you can do it, or just do your best. That's all we ask. We're going to say things like, you might not have it yet, but let's figure out which part is getting in the way and let's work on that. We're not arguing with their feelings. We're not, telling them, don't say that, don't think that, even though as a parent, I'm guilty of that too. We want to try to help them to think of different ways of saying it and thinking about it when they're struggling. Students need to understand that challenge is a part of learning. There's this video that went around, actually, I think it was about a couple of years ago. There was a professor, she was a guest speaker in a class at Duke University, and she was talking to students about like the process of going from not knowing something to knowing something. And she explained, that between not knowing and knowing were a lot of like ups and downs of like, oh yeah, I get that. And then I make a mistake and oh, okay, now I understand. And now I'm getting to something that's a little tough again until we master it. And she said that there's one word associated with learning. There's one word associated with going from here to here. And that word is frustration. Now, I don't completely agree with her because I think some of us are just inclined to enjoy that process more, maybe. But for a lot of folks, going from not knowing to knowing how to do something is frustrating. I mean, think about the last time you tried to figure out something on technology or with your cell phone and you couldn't get it right after 3 or 4 tries. Like that, it is frustrating. So she definitely had a point there. If everything feels like it's just overwhelming, it's impossible, then in that course of frustration, that is where those shutdowns are likely to happen. But this is also where the growth zone is, right there in the middle of the difficulty, of the productive struggle. And this is where instead of the shutdown, we need to show our kids how to slow down, ask questions, figure out which things they need to practice more and which things they already understand. Help them through making mistakes. Making mistakes is hard and it's scary. And it's hard and it's scary for adults. Imagine how difficult it is for children and young adults and students. They need to be able to deal with receiving feedback that's not always positive, but that is going to lead them to improvement. And they need to learn how to try again. I've always told my students, like, if I had to choose between someone with just a great attitude and an amazing work ethic versus someone that's just naturally skilled, I want the great attitude and the work ethic because I know that person's going places. Just being naturally skilled at something does not mean you're going places with it. When students say this is hard, we can teach them to add, yes, this is hard, but hard does not mean it's impossible. Many students and parents wait to feel confident before they take action. I mean, I think this is definitely true of adults and kids alike. But confidence often comes after taking action and seeing evidence of growth. Confidence grows when students, they try something difficult. Confidence comes from when they finally use that strategy correctly. Confidence comes from experiencing a small win, looking and seeing progress, being able to recover from a mistake, realizing they can do more than they thought they could, or that they know more than they thought they knew. Small wins matter because they give students proof, not hype, not empty words of you're smart, you can do this, just try your best, not false praise, proof. We don't want our students to think that they have to be confident before they can begin. Okay, so what can parents do right now? Simple. I want you to take any statements that your child makes or that you make about yourself in front of your child that represent a fixed mindset. And I want you to add the word yet. When your child says, I can't do this, I want you to say, you can't do it yet, but let's figure out which part is tripping you up. Praise the process, not the outcome. Instead of saying, you're so smart, I want you to say, you know what? I noticed how you kept going even when that got tough. I saw you try a different strategy when that first strategy did not work. I saw you catch that mistake you made in your math calculation. You are understanding more today than you did yesterday. If they are overwhelmed, just ask them, what's the next step we can take? I want you to normalize mistakes. Make sure you're saying, hey, mistakes just show us what we need to practice more. This is just feedback for us. This is not failure. I'm glad this happened because now we know what to work on. I want you to watch for signs that your child is going through a defeating struggle, not a productive struggle. If they are shutting down, I want you to do things like ask them, is there a smaller step that we can take? Can we reframe the directions for them? Do they need a different strategy? Do they need to take a break? Do they need help filling in a missing skill? Support does not mean we're removing the challenge. It just means we're helping students believe that the challenge can be approached and dealt with. I'm going to be sharing more videos this summer on the 3S Student Success System. So subscribe if you want practical ways you can support your child's confidence, learning skills, and their ability to follow through. Trying harder only works when students know what to try. This is why I always look underneath the surface. If a student is struggling, I don't just want to know about their grade or their last data point. I want to try to figure out what is missing. I want to dig down underneath the surface. Is this self-belief? Is this mindset? Is it a skill or a strategy? Because once we can look below the surface and see the root and we can identify the missing pieces, support not only becomes easier, but it finally becomes effective. Self-belief helps students believe that growth is possible. That's what we talked about today. Skills help students know what to do. Strategy helps students follow through when school gets hard. If one of these pieces is missing, then there are going to be difficulties. If you're missing self-belief, school can feel very overwhelming. If you're missing skills, it feels frustrating. And if you're missing strategy, school feels like you're spinning in circles. And that is why my 3S Student Success System is not about trying harder or doing more. It's about identifying what a student needs most in that moment and helping them build from there. Final takeaway, I can't closes the door. I can't yet opens it. The word yet might be small, but it can change the way students see their struggle, and it can change their pathway to success. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, if this video was helpful at all, I want you to make sure to subscribe because I'm digging deep into these things all summer. with practical ways that parents and the adults that love learners can do to help the learners in their lives. You can also visit 4011learning.com to learn more about my company's tutoring services and the types of support that we offer children. And lastly, you can watch the next video linked on the screen right now for another practical way to support your child's growth. Bye, everybody.